Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV. I'm sitting here after Carlisle have been beaten 2-0 away from home to Wigan. And look, it's just becoming part of the routine now, going away and getting beat. Look, we had a little bit of a bright spark at Fleetwood against a team that admittedly kind of let us play with a bit of freedom. But yeah, or at least one major defensive mistake from Josh Emmanuel and then a pretty decent corner. With no reply from us, so us get beat yet again and cement our place at the bottom of the league. Look, results did go our way elsewhere. Nobody around us won. There was a couple of draws. It was an ideal result between Cheltenham and Reading, with them two drawing. A win for either team there would have probably been a little bit crushing for us. But yeah, in our last game before January, we haven't really given ourselves much of a base to fight on from. And it's really disappointing because we're now completely reliant on signings coming in January. I was kind of hoping that, look, we had a very easy run of games these last month and a bit, and we haven't picked up a win from any of the games. We have Fleetwood, we had Reading, we had Cheltenham, we had Wigan, who were down there as well. We had sprinkled in with a couple of games like Blackpool, but and we haven't won a single one of them, and that is a very, very worrying thing at the minute. But yeah, it is very, very worrying at the minute. But again, I just can't help but think they're just holding out till January to hopefully get us saved in January. Luke Armstrong's already confirmed. And I've heard a lot of people saying that we just need to accept relegation now and fight to go up in League 2, and I think that's an absolutely stupid statement because there's still so much football to be played, and somehow we're not a million miles from safety. There's still the opportunity that we get a couple of wins and we're out of the relegation zone. And look, at the minute you look at that and you think 5 points off safety or 6 points or whatever it is now, it's not more than a couple of victories and results to go our way. If we put together a decent run of form, like we did when Simpson came back last season when we were bottom of the league, it is worth reminding ourselves that we've been in this position before under Paul Simpson when he first came into the job, and he got us out of it. And even half of that revival sees us out of the relegation zone. And this time he's got a January transfer window to try and fix it. And we're already making good signings. And look, Josh Emmanuel, it was his worst game in a Carlisle shirt today, but I still think he's a decent signing. So we under these new owners, and with the signing of Luke Armstrong as well, if we get 6 more signings of the quality of them two, then I think we've got more than enough to stay up. And look, we saw some bright sparks in the second half yesterday. But look, there's no use in that if we're only going to perform when we're 2-0 down. We missed some very good chances, which I feel like, we used to say a lot at the start of the season, but at least we're now getting those chances again. Joe Garner missed a good one. There was a really good one flashed across the face of goal. And on another day, I think, going into the 70th minute, that game, we're just performing well in the second half. I genuinely thought if we got to go back, we'd go on and get a point out of it. But again, it's that lack of finishing up top. The chances were created today, unlike a lot of games recently. But again, it's another defeat, and it's another one where you've got to try and question the manager, because look, Ryan Edmondson, one of our most effective players yesterday, was taken off for some reason. Jordan Gibson, our most creative player this season, our player of the season by a mile, big performer this season in the victories we've managed to get. And he's sitting on the bench. A lot of people have speculated that could be because he's gone in January, but we're not in a position now where we need to be selling our best players, so I can't imagine if there's anything in that, I'd be very disappointed. Maybe it'll be a contractual thing where he's turned down a contract with the club and Paul Simpson hasn't took kindly to that, a bit like what happened to Owen Moxon for a little bit. But yeah, there's another issue I want to mention, and that is when I was coming back from the game today, I was thinking about teams, and the best teams in this division and in any division are the teams that have a set. So, there'll be a little bit of rotation, but there'll be a set squad. You'll know what your best team is. You'll know what team to put out if you need to perform. And coming away from that game today, I thought, who were our players that first names on the team sheet. Who do we know are going to start every week? And I went through the team, and I came up with 2 players, and that's John Mellish and Sam Lavelle. Outside of that, though, I genuinely don't know what our starting strike partnership is. I don't know what our starting midfield is. The fullbacks are maybe a little bit more solidified. I think Josh Emmanuel's probably going to play, but even then, yesterday he didn't even play at right back. So and we had Ben Barkley at right back, so even that's uncertain. And you've got Jack Robinson on the other side with Jack Armour, and we don't even have a goalkeeper that's sort of in there every week. We're switching that up and everything now. There's no base of a team to improve because we don't know what our best team is. And that's a problem at this point in the season. If we're trying something new every week, then then a team isn't there to continuously build on to know, look, this is how we're playing together. If it's a completely different team every week, players aren't going to get used to being in a set position. They're not going to get used to being in a set team, that they know who's around them, they know who to pass back to, they know who to pass wide to. Because, look, you pass to different players in different ways, and if they're not doing the same thing every week, and if they're not having that, that routine, that regimented structure to rely on every week, then it does make it a little bit more difficult. And look, a lot's been said, and you look at the top teams at the very top of the game now, and I'm not comparing us to these, but Man City every week seem to have a different team out. Liverpool are the same. Maybe there is a reason for constantly switching the team up, but it just seems like we've taken it to a massive extreme, and it's so hard to predict the lineup to games now because I don't know who's going to start. Even when you thought of some players at the start of the season that you knew were going to start, you'd think Owen Moxon. Well, he's been dropped recently. Jordan Gibbs, our best player of the season. He's been on the bench the last couple of games. You just don't know who's going to start, and I think that is a problem for the players as well. But yeah, let me know what you think about that, because it's something I hadn't really thought about until fairly recently. But I think it might be a sound point. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and in a bit.